What happened to the West Virginia Mountaineers in their loss to the Maryland Terrapins in round one of the NCAA tournament? We're going to talk about it right after the intro. What is going on, Mountaineer fans and college hoops fans? This is Couz, and welcome to another episode of Hoops from the Hills. My partner, Mountaineer Paul, could not be with me today. Our schedules just did not line up, but I'm still going to bring you this post-game reaction show. Now, a lot of YouTubers and podcasters out there were able to do this yesterday after the game was over. I'm doing this video the day after, obviously. I didn't for a couple different reasons. Number one, I did have a lot going on, didn't really have time to do one. And number two, I thought it would be good to wait a few hours because it was an emotional game. And sometimes I think it's best to let your emotions settle so I can speak from a perspective of logic and not emotion. If that makes sense, kind of take some of the emotion out of my breakdown of the game. So I'm trying to do that. So hopefully that's achieved here in this episode. So obviously the Mountaineers lost the game 67-65. It was a really tough game. The Mountaineers had two double-digit runs in this game. And anytime a team does that, you think they win the game, right? Well, not the case for the Mountaineers. They also were up by 13 at one point in the first half, but yet they blew another double-digit lead. It's multiple times they've done that this season. And it just so happened in this one was the biggest game of the year. Let's take a look at the stats real quick. I'll share those with you, and then all right, when you look at the team stats here, obviously you've got West Virginia on the left, Maryland on the right. Field goals, Maryland outshot West Virginia 51% to 39% from the floor. Huge factor in this game. West Virginia just could not make shots yesterday. Just really a bad day shooting. 3-point percentage, West Virginia did outshoot Maryland from 3, 42% to 33%. I mean, heck, West Virginia shot better from three than they did from the floor as a whole. Free throws, West Virginia, another good day, 13-16, 81%. Maryland, though, made 15 out of 22. And it was only 68%, but they got 22 attempts. And they actually made only one less free throw than what West Virginia attempted in this game. Complete opposite of what West Virginia has been doing all year. West Virginia, I said in our preview show with Ryan and Rush, one of the things West Virginia has done all year that's helped them win games is they've been able to get to the free throw line more than their opponents most times. And at shooting 81%, that's going to help you win a lot of basketball games. Well, I said in that show, Maryland does not put their opponents at the line a lot. That held true in this game. West Virginia only got 16 free throw attempts to Maryland's 22. Now, the officiating in this game, in my opinion, was very atrocious. They called some fouls on the Mountaineers that were absolutely terrible calls. They took a possession away from us. I thought there at the end when the Maryland player clearly threw the ball out of bounds. The announcers even said so, and they claimed they couldn't see it on the replay. I don't know what they were looking at because it was clear as day. Nobody from West Virginia touched that basketball. But nonetheless, one of the keys to victory was West Virginia getting more free throws than Maryland. That didn't happen. Then you keep going. Rebounds, 35 rebounds for West Virginia, 29 for Maryland. West Virginia had a 16-8 offensive rebound advantage. That's usually a formula for victory for West Virginia. Not in this game. Assists. Maryland had more assists than West Virginia, 12-7, but that's not a big shocker. It's not West Virginia's strength. 6-7 in steals, 2-5 in blocks. Maryland did have a lot of block shots. They were playing really good defensively. I thought they also did a really good job of holding Eric Stevenson. He had a rough day at the office. We look at total turnovers, 12-13. There again, didn't lose the turnover battle, which was another key to the game. 24-19. West Virginia committed 24 fouls to Maryland's 19. And then the largest lead, West Virginia, like I said, had a 13-point lead at one time. Maryland led by as much as 7. So, I mean, when you look at the stats of this game, the only one that really stands out, there's two, the fouls and the shooting. West Virginia just shot the ball poorly from the floor. They missed some what I thought were easy looks, or at least open looks, close to the basket. Trey Mitchell missed several mid-range jump shots. Eric Stevenson's shot was not falling. They got very little production from Jimmy Bell on the offense. He was in foul trouble the whole game, ended up fouling out late. Now, let's talk about Jimmy Bell for a minute. Jimmy Bell has taken a lot of crap on social media all year, especially the last few weeks, and especially yesterday. And I even defended him a little bit because when he was in the game early, West Virginia went on a big run. They were playing really well. When he had to leave in foul trouble, Maryland made their comeback. When Jimmy Bell was on the floor yesterday, West Virginia was a better team. And I think it was pretty obvious. Now, was he setting the world on fire? No, he wasn't. He wasn't scoring a lot of points. He was getting some rebounds. He was playing decent defense down low. And he's a big body that takes up a lot of space, and that's a critical piece for this team. Jimmy Bell, he's not a superstar. He's not an elite player, but he does just enough to give them a presence underneath, especially when they need it, especially a big body that can help take up space. That's important. And I think Jimmy Bell's a pretty good defender. He's not going to block a lot of shots, but he'll get in the way. He'll put his hands up. He'll be a presence there underneath. And I think when he was off the court, Maryland, their big guy was having his way with James Okonkwo. His name was Reese. He's their big guy. He was actually their leading scorer yesterday, 17 points, and he was having his way underneath with James Okonkwo. He wasn't able to do that with Jimmy Bell. So Jimmy Bell's presence was important to this team yesterday. He may not be that important in every game, but in yesterday's game he was, because West Virginia did not have an answer for Reese underneath other than Bell. So him fouling out really, really hurt. And then Emmett got hurt, that shoulder injury, which I honestly thought should have been a foul, should have been a moving screen on Maryland. The guy's legs were too wide, and it looked to me like he kind of threw his shoulder out into Emmett a little bit. Should have been a foul call. But we all know the refs were not calling moving screens in that game. And Emmett should not have – Emmett got injured on that play. And yes, Emmett wasn't scoring a lot of points to that point, but Emmett's a very, very important piece of that team. His leadership is invaluable. His ability to drive to the basket is invaluable. He can rebound the ball. He's a good defender. Emmett's an important piece of that team, and when he wasn't on the floor most of the second half, it negatively impacted the Mountaineer team. There's no doubt about it. But even with that said, even with Emmett being hurt, even with Jimmy fouling out, they had a chance to win the game, mainly because of Mr. Kedrian Johnson, who had an absolute great day yesterday, one of the best games of his career. Kedrian Johnson had 27 points yesterday. He was 7 for 7 from the foul line, 4 for 8 from 3, and 8 for 13 from the floor. Just an absolute brilliant day. And he also had a steal and an assist. But just a great day for Kedrian, man. One of the best games of his life, if not the best game of his life. His last second shot for 3 that would have won the game fell just short. It was on line, just a little bit short. But hats off to him for playing the game of his life, but I'm sure it probably doesn't mean a lot to him because he wanted to win that game. But thanks to him, they still had a chance to win and should have won the game. I feel like West Virginia was the better basketball team on the floor yesterday. I really do. They made mistakes at critical times. They had defensive lapses at critical times and missed shots at critical times. And all that came back to bite them in the end, and I think that was the key. But when you look at some individual stats, speaking of individual stats, Eric Stevenson, feel bad for the young man. If you all have a chance, go back and watch his post-game press conference. He went into tears talking about how his college career was over, but how he was glad to end it at West Virginia and for Coach Huggins and with Coach Huggins. You could tell he really loves the program, really loves playing for Coach Huggins. So my heart goes out to him. I feel like Eric was just pressing. I really feel like he was trying too hard. He wanted that game so badly. It was his very first NCAA tournament game, and I think he was just trying too hard, to be honest with you. But his stats, he ended up 4 for 17 shooting, 1 for 4 from 3, only 9 points on the day. Did have a couple steals and an assist. Trey Mitchell, he didn't shoot the ball great either. He was 5 of 11, 0 for 4 from 3. He was 3 for 4 from the line. He had 6 rebounds total, all of them on the defensive end. Had 2 steals, 1 block, but he did turn the ball over 4 times as well and had 4 fouls, but he did have 13 points. Emmett ended up only having 2 points on the day, but like I said, he sat out most of the second half. Jimmy Bell, no points, 4 rebounds, and an assist. Off the bench, Joe Toussaint had 9 points. Seth Wilson, 3, hit a big 3. I thought he should have got more playing time, to be honest. As badly as Eric was shooting the ball yesterday, I thought Seth Wilson should have gotten more playing time, but that's a whole discussion for another day. And Pat Sumnick had 2 points off the bench for the Mountaineers, both of those coming from the free throw line. We look at Maryland, their leading scorer on the day, like I said, was Reese with 17 points. Scott had 11 points. Jameer Young had 10 points. And then Hakeem Hart was the second leading scorer on the team with 15 points. Leading them in rebounds was Reese with 9. And Scott also pulled down 8 rebounds. And then off the bench, very little production off the bench, but Maryland's bench doesn't go very deep. Forward Patrick Emilian came off the bench to put in 5 points for the Terrapins. So long story short, Maryland made shots and West Virginia didn't. And West Virginia could not get to the free throw line, and Maryland did. Now, what do I think this means for the Mountaineers going forward? Obviously, we're losing Eric Stevenson, we're losing Emmett Matthews, and we're losing Kedrian Johnson. Those 3 guys have no eligibility left. In my opinion, probably the 3 best players for the Mountaineers down the stretch of the season. Now, Trey Mitchell, Joe Toussaint, Jimmy Bell, all seniors, but all have a year of eligibility remaining. I hope they all come back, especially Trey and Joe, because I think we need them. And what I think West Virginia needs to address in the offseason, I'd like to see him go out and get a true point guard. I do like Joe Toussaint. I think he's a good point guard, but he can't do it all by himself. I'd like to see him go out and get and plus, I don't know if he's a true point guard. Joe might be better at the two, but nonetheless, they need to go in and get a true point guard who's really good at penetrating the basket, drawing defenders, and kicking out the open shooters. That's what we need. That's what the teams, in my opinion, has been missing ever since Juwan Staten left, and Javon Carter obviously left too. But nonetheless, I'd like us also to go get a big man in the portal, another big man besides Jimmy Bell. Yes, we've got a Conquo. Mo McGee should be back next year. We did miss him. He was a huge missing piece yesterday. He's obviously been out with that foot injury. But I'd like to see him go out and get another big man. Is that Lampkin out of the portal? Is it the young man from St. John's who's good friends with Jose Perez? Do they go get him out of the portal? I do think the West Virginia needs help in the middle, and I do think they need help at the point guard spot. I think they're pretty good. If assuming Trey comes back, I think they're good there. To shoot, obviously we've got Seth Wilson returning at the shooting guard spot. He might be able to step in and take the starting role next year. But nonetheless, I'd like to see West Virginia go out and make some noise in the portal, bring some guys in. I know they've already made offers to a lot of guys in the portal. They've already picked up the Silverio young man who also transferred in from Manhattan, another friend of Jose Perez. I think he'll be an important piece of this team next year as well. Obviously, will Kobe Johnson come back? Will Jamel King, will he come back? And if he does, will he be able to step up and improve his game? How much can Okonkwo improve from one year to the next? How much can McGee improve? Will that injury end up impacting him, next year as well? It's a foot injury and a big man. That can be sometimes that can bother him long term. So we'll see. A lot of unanswered questions going into the offseason. There's a lot of questions surrounding Bob Huggins' future. I think he's fine. Bob Huggins was able to turn, you look at last year, they won, 14 games. They turned around and win 19 this year, get into the NCAA tournament. Should that be the expectations? Should we settle for that every year? No. I feel like we should want more. However, I do think you need to give Huggins at least one more year to get this thing completely fixed where they're able to make a run in the tournament, not just get there. They can't be satisfied with just getting there. They need to want to make a run. I think they can, but he's got to go out and get the right pieces to do that. And I think they took a step in that direction this year. Now the key is keeping guys on the team, retaining the guys that you need to retain. Can he do that, and can he add to it? We will see. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments section. Let me know. Sorry Paul couldn't be here with me today, folks. Like I said, our schedules just didn't align, but I wanted to get this episode out to you guys. I'm sure you may have been wondering what we had to say. But like I said, let us know your thoughts in the comment section. We now have Hoops from the Hills merch. If you want to check it out, there's a T-shirt example for you on the screen right now. The Couz's Corner merch store is where that's at. I didn't open a separate merch store for Hoops from the Hills. It's in my Couz's Corner merch store. It's one of the items there. So click on that link in the description box if you want to check out, get you a Hoops from the Hills shirt or a hat or something else. Also, if you want this shirt right here, this is the bench tee this year in college basketball. Every year they come out with a new bench tee. Nike does. This is one for this year. It says Mountaineer Soul. If you want to get you a Mountaineer Soul shirt, go to the Fanatics link in the description box. Click on that link. It'll get you into the store. Buy one of these shirts. And if you don't want to buy that, you want to buy something else, that's fine too. Just use that link to get into the site and then go find whatever item you want to purchase. And Paul and I will get a small commission for the sale. You can help us out that way too. But if you want to help us for free, you can do it in a couple different ways. You can hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, help us get to that 1,000 mark that every YouTuber strives to get to. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think the reasons West Virginia lost the game were, and what do you think about Bob Huggins' future, and also what you would like to see him do next year, what you think the team needs to be successful, even more successful in 2024. And last but not least, share this with your friend. And I apologize for my background. I did not change my basketball background for this video, but you probably don't care about that anyway. But nonetheless, I really appreciate you tuning into this episode. And until next time, I'm out.